Good evening, everyone. This is April 18, I guess, and that's episode 4 of English Bonfire Talks. And today on the call we have Alessia from Krasnoyarsk. We have Musa, who was born in Saudi Arabia, lived in Yemen, and now he lives in Krasnoyarsk. We have Mania, who is from Cape Town, South Africa. We have Irina, who I thought was in Moscow, but she's actually in Krasnoyarsk. And and then we have Masha, Krasnoyarsk, and we have Vadim, Krasnoyarsk. And I also want to say hello to the chat, which is also pretty populated already. So there is Wondercat, hello, who actually said hello to us pretty earlier. And so that's our setup for today. And I'd like to begin with a question which is pretty, I think, relevant, as tomorrow for most of people it is Easter. And I just wanted to ask if you are going to celebrate it anyhow, if you remember about it at all, and something like that. Who would like to begin?
So my mom has colored the eggs, and so 10 or 12 eggs, and probably like tomorrow we will have a battle with my father, traditionally fighting as always.
Do you have special sticks for keeping social distancing when you fighting?
This is my father. We can, and there will be very long social distance, my hand, his hand, and there will be like 3 meters, I think, at least.
Well, that's good that you are keeping the safety. So are you baking anything, like those Easter pies or anything like that?
I don't eat them because there is this dried fruit. I don't like it.
Oh, raisins, you mean?
Yes, but my mom has bought like small cakes.
Easter cake.
But
yeah.
I don't think I will. Yes, but I don't think I will eat them because there may be this raisin as well. So only eggs. I'm in love with eggs, and that's all.
But you can just pick the raisin out. You can just pick it
Yes, I can, but the tastiest thing in this Easter cake is the top.
You mean the icing, with the icing, this kind of caramel stuff or sugar stuff and decorations?
Yes.
Anyone is going to bake Easter cakes?
No,
well,
I don't.
But now listen.
Oh?
Why are you guys talking about Easter? Easter is already passed.
No!
In Russia,
Not fast.
Not in Russia.
We're late all the
always
time.
late.
Russia has its own way.
No, Easter was last. No, you guys are behind. I know this Krasny city is very far away, but time is maybe not catching up there yet. But Easter was last weekend. So you have missed something.
I know
doesn't
Israel.
matter.
Russia.
It doesn't matter anyway. Maybe tomorrow is going to snow and we're going to celebrate Christmas again. Not a problem. We're ready. Krasnoyarsk people.
Okay.
Well, I know Israel had Easter last Sunday, and South Africa too.
Yeah.
Does it mean that Catholic Easter is 1 week before Orthodox Easter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what?
But I think it also has something to do with your calendar. Your calendar is different.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think yes.
Yeah. The Orthodox calendar isn't quite the same.
Well, we have 2 weeks Christmas distance, but with Easter it's pretty surprising.
and I know you also celebrate. No, it's not New Year. What was that other? Yeah, I think it's
Christmas,
Yeah,
Orthodox Christmas.
Yes, Christmas. Yeah.
But talking about Easter, we Orthodox have special formula. It's not about only 2 weeks. It's calculation very, very difficult to understand sometimes for me, and I won't try it, but I take it as a fact. Tomorrow will be Easter in Orthodox.
You sound pretty sad about it.
Yes.
Why? What's wrong with Easter?
It's not wrong because I got tired of formulas. I prefer
Deep.
I prefer simple days, simple ideas.
Time.
Days,
Simple
time,
present.
Simple present.
Somebody hasn't been giving him Easter eggs. Now he's upset.
Well, about Easter eggs, I just saw this gigantic Kinder Surprise in the supermarket, which is like 1,100 rubles. In rands, that's 250 rands, Maya, and that's pretty expensive. I mean, it's a big Kinder Surprise, but still, I mean, it's like 1,000 rubles.
Hold on, Andy.
Oh.
Is it here in Krasnoyarsk?
Yes.
Well, where do they sell it?
Krasnoyar.
No, exactly. In the shop.
In Akademgorodok.
In Komandor?
No, Krasnoyar in Akademgorodok, where I live.
Excellent. I'm gonna keep that in mind. I perhaps did one.
Somebody will pay 1,000 rubles.
No, well, it doesn't matter. It is my first time that Easter coincides with my cheat meal day, so it's really good to get a big egg.
Okay.
Is it possible to use instead of chicken eggs another eggs, for example, goose, crocodile, and maybe?
Why not? If we may use chocolate eggs, why not?
I can send you a ostrich egg.
Ostrich. Oh, nice. Do you have ostriches in wild? In nature in South Africa?
They're not in the wild. They are farmed. They're on
farms.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I've got a question for you all. I'm sorry.
Okay, sure.
A student of mine yesterday told me that usually the Orthodox, or I don't know, the Catholic or in general Christians, usually fast on meat just 40 days before Easter. Is that true?
Yes.
What
in
is
Russia,
that?
yes, it's like people who believe it's. I don't remember how it's called. What it's called in English, but we have this period before Easter when so people can't eat meat. People who believe in, they are Christians, like they cannot eat meat.
It's called fast.
Fasting, yeah.
Yes.
Fasting.
Yes, they do not have it. Or they do not eat meat during this. They don't drink alcohol, and so on. That's why we have, for example, cutlets from broccoli or from other vegetables, because people can't eat usual cutlets made from pork, for example.
Interesting. And does anyone does that?
I don't have this creed, so I'm not a Christian. That's why I haven't done it.
I'm sorry to ask, but Lisa, what are you then?
I'm a human. I'm Lisa.
I know, but if you were.
But my mom said that when I would grow up, I would choose my religion. So.
Excellent.
That's it.
Well, that's an uncommon situation about parents, but I really respect that.
There is a funny message on the chat. It is, we don't celebrate Easter. I believe in human genius, not divine one. So that's, I think, anthropocentrism, which I totally support.
Is it Bogdan?
No, it's
Where is the chat?
Who said it?
The chat will be on the recording, and you can access it if you have your mobile phone with you. You can just go.
Oh, really?
You can go. So you need to check the Telegram post or Contacti post, and there is a link to the stream on Good Game. If you enter stream on Good Game, you will see the chat.
Okay, thanks. Oh yeah.
Well, Masha, are you going to celebrate Easter?
No, but I'm going to make just colored eggs, and that's all.
How?
I
With onion?
I bought quail eggs, you know, these little eggs, and I wanted to make them, to color them in different, because it's beautiful and look nice. So yeah, that's all. That's all my celebration.
You're an artist, so you could create something really special, like something really aesthetical.
Yeah, maybe. If I want, my mom, yesterday my mom told me different ways how I can color my eggs using, I don't know, cartoon, some card, using some tights and different things. So I don't know. That sounds a bit creepy, but I know a lot of people do it.
Well, I think the
It's okay to do it.
the most traditional method, I think, it's about onions, like this onion peel, which people
onions.
boil, and it's like has this.
I heard about onions, about carcade tea, about beetroot juice, and so on. So, yeah, it's like natural colored eggs without any specific substances.
And Lena, what about you? Are you going to celebrate?
Not really, at least me personally, not. I guess if my mom decides to do something, I will just, look at it, and that's it.
Okay.
So I just think that in Russia, I guess that you all agree with me, it's more of a tradition than a real belief sometimes. So it's just a repetition of what you saw your parents doing for many years during your childhood, for example. So when you become more aware of what it means for you, or if it doesn't mean anything for you, you decide what you do or what you don't do, actually.
We celebrate it in case if God exists. And it's a common thought about of Soviet people. Former Soviet people. They don't know for sure whether God exists or not, but in case it exists, they celebrate.
Yeah, just in case, yeah.
You call that hedging your bets.
It's there is this old Soviet joke, like there is a class full of students, and the teacher is saying, like, "Dear children, today we are learning atheism, and now you should say there is no God." And the children repeat, and then there is this one child who doesn't repeat, and she said, "Well, why don't you?" And he says, "Well, because if he does exist, then why should I make him angry? And if he doesn't, well, why should I say this?" And pretty reasonable.
Yes. There was a joke on TikTok when so God has a secretary, and this secretary comes to the God and says, "Oh, you have atheists behind the door," and the God says, "Say that I'm not here, like I do not exist." Like, in Russian, it's it sounds better, but their meaning is the same.
How can such things exist in TikTok, Lisa?
Good question.
TikTok is a good thing. There are a lot of educationists, so like teachers, and you may find good cooking recipes there.
Only everything in TikTok, huh?
TikTok, yes.
Well.
Try to download.
We're just being...
Musa, we are losing you a little bit.
He's downloading TikTok.
I think you infected me.
Andre,
Oh?
you should share that video with your group about Mr. Bean. You know that does that Toby, the Toby the Devil
Oh.
video. Yeah, you should share it with them.
Where he was meeting the gentleman about his son.
No, where he's letting all the people into hell.
Oh,
and then he divides them into the different sections of hell. And,
then I should, yeah.
So because it's a good English, very good English video, and it also talks about this topic that we're just talking about.
And Mane, what was Easter like a week ago? Did you bake anything? Did you paint eggs?
The kids are big now, so it's nice for children when they're little, the excitement and all the eggs and so on, but not when they're adults. Then I think they just buy their own eggs just to eat chocolate, really. But we do eat hot cross buns. You can buy in the shop these buns with a cross on, and it has got raisins in, but it's got nice spice. But we don't really do anything special, except the people that go to church. Of course, then it's a whole, they go to church and it's a whole kind of religious thing. Yeah. But Andre, I'm going to say goodbye because
so
otherwise
fast.
I'm going to have to go and it's a half an hour and I'm going to have to go and buy some more gigabyte at the rate that we're going here now, because I'm at home and I don't have all this unlimited. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to check now on my usage and see how much usage it actually took. But I enjoyed joining. It was very nice meeting everybody, and I would like to do it again. Yes.
Sure. Yeah. Maybe you'll have Wi-Fi at home. Somehow, could you? I mean, the landline.
I've got Wi-Fi at home, but I've just about used all of my allocation for the month.
So I mean,
so I had to buy some more.
Could you have unlimited, or it's going to be too expensive?
I can have unlimited, but I didn't have that from the start because I didn't need it. But now, because I'm in lockdown, the situation changed a little bit.
Yeah. So I think we would love we would love to have you again next week, maybe, or just anytime you can.
Yes. But I'll be in contact with you, and then we can chat about that.
Okay.
So I'm going to say goodbye to everybody else.
Goodbye.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Bye. Now, how am I going to get out of here? I must try. Okay. All right. Oh my goodness.
Well, there should be a button. Yeah, I guess that worked. Okay. So
I think internet is way expensive than in Russia, right?
I'm sorry?
The internet, it's way more expensive than in Russia.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're talking about phone internet, then definitely it is. It is.
How much in dollars?
Or in euros?
Why are you asking about dollars or euros? Why not in rubles? I mean, can I tell?
I just want to compare to the US prices for mobile phones.
Can I tell in tenge and you will just convert it in?
Okay. Yes, you can.
So.
Or in rubles.
How much I paid? Hell, I don't remember. I think I paid 1,500 for 5 gigabytes mobile phone. So I think that was the price.
Why is so expensive?
For 5 gigabytes, yeah, 1,500 rubles.
5.
Quite expensive.
Yeah, expensive.
Like in the US, people pay about, so the average price for this all stuff is $100 per month. My friend pays this sum.
Maybe they have older networks. Because of that, they pay a lot. But they're more than if you have a new networks, it costs much less than if you have a old one.
In Belgium, it's 15. Sorry, it's 15 euros, I guess, for 4 gigabyte per month. So kind of expensive as well.
Yeah, so I think in Russia we enjoy actually one of the cheapest possible prices ever.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
We are progressive.
This time, but not regarding Easter.
Yeah, we're 1 week behind. By the way, last call on Thursday, there was Batatu, and he was from South Africa, and he was asking about this 5G issue, that people were being afraid of 5G, that it's kind of dangerous, and maybe you heard the news that people are burning towers around the world with 5G connection because they believe it is spreading the virus. So yeah.
Really? Is that true?
Yes.
Do you mean
what is the relation?
Do you mean that the truth is that they're burning, or that actually it's spreading the virus?
No, that it is somehow related to the virus.
I don't know what got into their brain, but they say like 5G connection, it kind of facilitates the spread of the COVID-19 thing, and that's how that's why they want to proclaim a holy war on towers. So
5G encourages spreading of the virus, I think.
Yeah,
they thought
it began in the UK.
But maybe actually, yes, in UK, and actually the 5G originated from China. Maybe it's connected with the fear about China.
So it is how transmits to us the virus from China.
Makes sense. We solved this mystery.
Well, those people are quite hopeless and desperate that they couldn't find anyone to blame, so they just blamed 5G. Why didn't they blame 3G or 2G at least?
Because it's the newest thing for them.
New things
something
are dangerous.
New, something progressive. For them, probably yes. Changes are always difficult for people. Probably they were amazed by the speed of 5G.
And they doubted it, huh?
Yeah.
Those are aliens.
How is it possible? Probably there is devil. The devil has developed this 5G.
So
Musa, when will you go home? I mean, like all foreigners have online learning and probably online till the end of the term.
Yeah. Am I bothering you being here in Krasnoyarsk?
No, I know that so my classmates will have online diplomas, so they will present their diplomas online, and the date when we should present our diplomas is the end of June, the beginning of July. So, and now they know that they will have this event through Skype. So probably, and there are some suggestions that this self-isolation will be prolonged till the end of May.
Yeah.
So you will not go to the university anymore.
Yes, this is what I believe, that I'm not going to the university anymore, even if they just cancel the idea of self-isolation. Yeah. I'm not going to go anywhere.
Why?
Because still it is tense now, the situation, as you know. Even if the university says, okay, you have to go to the university, I'm not going until things get better, internationally, not only locally. Because we don't want to go to that topic again and speak about it. But anyway, if we're talking about going home, this is most likely going to be perhaps the end of August, or perhaps next year. If it's not at the end of August, then it's going to be next year.
Oh, that's nice. I mean, that you are still with us for quite a while.
Yeah.
But I don't think that. So you will need a student card anymore, but I will not need it anymore. This this life.
Why is it?
Like
your
it's my
last year?
final year. It's my final year now.
But you need electronic pass to go out.
So it will be my student card.
I don't think so. You need to register yourself on the special site.
But if so, the only one chance, so the only one thing that I might go out for is products. So we don't need this electronic pass.
There are a lot of products, you know.
Drugs.
I didn't mention it. You said it.
So we haven't only touched what? So we have touched religion, politics, and drugs. What else left?
What else should we touch here?
I just wonder, like, after how many gatherings my channel is going to be banned from YouTube and Twitch.
As soon as we mentioned Putin and Trump in one sentence.
You did.
Maybe.
But media are not banned, so you know that YouTube has banned, or Google has banned Putin's presentation, Putin's call to people.
What did he say?
Quite awkward.
What did he say in the call?
It was like Putin with presentation to all people. You know, he has an official time when video presentation when he is shot and people listen to him and he says something that we are strong people, we have survived through such diseases. Yes, his speech, amazing speech, and then this video was blocked on YouTube, on Google, on YouTube, and people, and then the staff said that it had been a mistake to ban him to his video.
I don't want to joke now, but like, what exactly was a mistake? But I mean, okay.
You know, guys, the ban thing isn't about YouTube. Wait, YouTube is not the actually the site who actually bans the videos.
Of course.
Those are people. People report. And when people report, they take a close look on the video. If they find any slight provoking side, they just delete it right away. So the people are doing this.
Yeah, actually, it's true that you can just send a lot of strikes complaining about one video, and then it's going to be automatically blocked, and then the administration is going to review that, I think, and maybe unblock the video, if possible. So
someone has tried.
I still have questions about Belgium. Lena, could you tell us something else about that country? Because to me, Belgium is just this kind of absolutely unknown territory. I only know about chocolate and bakeries, and
everything is expensive, high taxes. This is what I know also.
Okay.
Yeah. Any more information?
Yeah. Let's brainstorm. Yeah. Any more ideas about Belgium?
Yeah.
Well,
nothing. I don't believe you guys.
Taxes. I just know that it is one of the highest countries with taxes. I believe even higher than Japan in taxes, if I'm not mistaken.
I have no idea actually. I just know that water is pretty expensive, and one my friend he went to the gym and he told me something like, oh, you know, I just shower there because water is so expensive, so it's cheaper to do it at the gym.
So he takes shower every day at the gym.
Yeah.
He should be as fit as Rock.
So,
well, what else?
Any more takes on Belgium?
I just came, late, but you're in Krasnoyarsk, but you used to live in Belgium, right?
No, like originally I'm from Krasnoyarsk, but then I studied in Moscow and I went to exchange semester to Belgium from Moscow, and now I'm back in Krasnoyarsk because of the quarantine. It's just easier to wait here at home till that's over. So, yeah.
Don't you have distance learning?
Sorry?
Don't you have distance learning?
What is it?
Distance learning.
Like online learning, when you have lectures online.
Well, I'm just finishing my master's degree, so I just have to write my thesis, and that's it. But my friend, he's still in Belgium, and he's from I don't know, some Asian country, and he didn't go back to his home country despite the virus, because I don't know. In Belgium, they have distant learning, and here everywhere, but some people just don't go back home. So
perhaps we're there.
As you, yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing is, they feel better in Belgium. They feel safer. Like my friend, she's an EVS volunteer, and she's now in Germany, in Magdeburg, but she has decided to stay there. She says, I feel comfortable, you know. I feel comfortable. That's all.
Yeah, that makes sense actually, because in Germany, as far as I know, they can go for a walk for an hour a day. And
yes, but only 2 people, and they should keep distance, and they do keep distance clearly at shops. So we had a call, and she said me this fact that they all keep distance, but today I have seen a video about, like, in Spain, in France, in Spain, France, and Italy, this quarantine is very, very strict. But in comparison to Germany, Germany in comparison to them has slight quarantine.
But the death rate of Germany is much smaller than in Spain or Italy. I've read statistics today.
Yes, it's because it depends on their mentality, of course. So they love clean all the things. They love this clean state, and but Germany has cancelled all summer schools. Like my friend has applied for 3 summer schools, and all these summer schools were cancelled because of coronavirus, and she doesn't know how to use her language certificate.
Musa, look, they're talking about coronavirus again, huh?
It's not about...
You know, I was thinking about a job being the coronavirus police, you know, just to try to orientate the topic, you know. And I think Lisa is the problem.
Musa, you know, you have someone to compete with, because there was Caroline, and she also called me Lisa. So there are 2 people who called me like this.
You told me to call you that because I couldn't pronounce your name correctly.
Yes, and she can, of course, also. I will not discriminate her because of you.
Thank you. My heart.
Can we please go back to Belgium? I want to learn the story about Belgium. Lena, tell me something about Belgium, but not about COVID-19, please.
Okay, I'll try. So, since we don't have any more takes on Belgium, well, I would begin with telling that French fries, they're not actually French, they're Belgium.
And how is that? Belgian fries?
They invented it in like 18th century or 17th century, I believe, but still, at the Belgian canteen at my university, they still called fries French fries, although they know that it's Belgian fries. So that's a disaster. What else? They have 3 official languages: Dutch, as I mentioned, French, and German, and also they have Brussels, which is located at the French-speaking, Dutch-speaking area, but in Brussels they all speak French. What else about languages? at the Dutch-speaking part, they all know English very, very well because they don't translate like TV shows or movies, so they're just immersed into this I don't know, English speaking environment from the very beginning, from the childhood, so they all speak English. But in Brussels, it's like in France actually, so their English is like A1 maybe, something like that.
That bad?
And hold on, I got a question for you, Elena. How do people who live in Belgium relate to alcohol?
Topic number 4.
No, I'm really interested to know.
It's a very good
people.
question.
I can imagine the whole nation on the way that how they relate to alcohol.
Yeah. Well, they're big fans of beer, and it's much stronger than the one in Germany. So in Germany, the max it's like maybe 6, something like that.
6.
Yeah. And in Belgium, it's 8.5, I believe. Yeah. So Germans, they're like, how do Belgians even drink it? It's not beer. It's so strong, so that's impossible for them. And students, they drink all the time, especially if it's a student city like Ghent, where I lived. So starting from Monday till Thursday, they drink starting from 5 p.m., even though they have classes the next day. They really don't care. They drink from like plastic glasses, so they just drop it on the floor. So the whole street is covered with these plastic glasses.
Really? We thought that they're civilized.
No, they're not. Yeah, not at all. So they don't drink on Friday because they mostly go back to their cities. So, for example, they live somewhere and they study in Ghent. So on Friday they go home. So they drink on Thursday.
On Thursday.
Yeah. Because on Friday they all go home. Yeah. So that's super weird for us Russians. I think that because we mostly drink on weekends. And what else about drinking? The first thing I heard from Belgians or just, I don't know, foreigners when I said like, oh, I'm from Russia. The first thing, it's like swear words. Second thing, Putin. A third thing, do you drink vodka? How do you like vodka? So, yeah, they were like super, extremely surprised when I told them like, I never try like pure vodka. And they're like, what? You're a Russian person. How come that's impossible? So, yeah.
The new generation. The problem is the new generation. When you are new generation, you get like lower level than your parents. Like, for example, your parents are level max and you get like a lower level. Become more sensitive to those things.
Yeah. Vodka is very expensive there, and there are a lot of fans of vodka. And one Belgian guy even asked my friend when we were coming to Belgium to bring with her one bottle of vodka, like a present for him. So yeah, that's about alcohol.
Okay, so, if you compare them, Elena, with Russian people, who comes in the first place, like the most drinkers or addicted to alcohol?
Good question, because like I said, we mostly, if we are like not alcoholics, like big alcoholics, we drink on the weekends or on holidays, and they drink all the time except for holidays, or not except for they just drink more days per year, I guess, but they drink less, and they don't eat when they drink, and they really puke a lot when they drink, when they're drunk everywhere. So that's super weird.
Not experienced, not like Russian people.
No. And that's actually the reason why they have this like outdoor toilets for men at the streets everywhere, especially on the student street, because they just drink beer all the time. So yeah, a bit of discrimination towards women, but okay. So
What kind of
yeah,
discrimination do they have? What kind of discrimination are you talking about?
Toilets, no toilets
discrimination.
for women. No outside toilets for women, Musa.
Exactly.
Ah,
Don't you think
there
that
are
women
for
can
women.
drink too?
I just didn't understand the discrimination. In what? You can't judge them, Lisa. You can't judge them. It's not about drinking. Both women and men
It's about
drink at the same
toilets.
time. It's
Not
different.
just
No,
about toilets.
no, it's not about toilets. It's about the difference and how each person react to alcohol. Men are more
So
sensitive than women, so they puke. Women don't puke.
that's why men drink more than women. Okay.
Oh man.
But like there are a lot of nations that drink much more than Russians, but Russians are believed to be more drinkable, not drinkable, but more addicted to alcohol. So can you tell us about education system in Belgium a little?
My question. Thank you.
What exactly do you mean by like educational system?
Like
how?
So I know that they have different systems. For example, you choose the professors and the lessons. And how often do you need to visit the university? How many subjects do you have during the term? And and do you have like this week of holiday before your exams to prepare for the exams?
Okay. So, well, I was an exchange student, but I was kind of like an unusual exchange student because all my friends, they had, I guess, 4 subjects max of workload, and I had 6, which was pretty intense, to be honest. And about Belgian educational system, the most important thing which you have to know is that they have like max of 20, so we have like 5 out of 5, that's max. They have 20, but the thing is, no one never gets 20. No one even gets 19. 18 is like impossible. And why? They don't know themselves, actually. They just think that you can't be smarter than your professor, or even if you are that smart, you're still not perfect, so you have something to work on always, so you never get like max. And all my friends, like Belgian friends, like really smart guys, they told me like, I have like my bachelor's, I'm getting my master's, and there was never ever a term when I didn't fail a thing. So for them, if you have 10, which is a passing mark, you're like amazing. So that's weird.
And is it true? Yes, and is it true that they have like written exams, not oral, like we are used to Rush? So you can just probably, can you compare, please, like Russian and Belgium education systems?
So we have bachelors of almost all the time, like 4 years, and masters it's 1, 2. That's I guess
2.
More popular in Russia, and they have bachelors of 3 years and masters 1 year mostly. Yeah.
Very strange.
That's super easy. What else? I had mostly written exams, but sometimes it's a combination of written exam which you passed at the class at the university, and some big essay which you have to write in advance. And for example, essay, it can be like 30% of your mark, and your exam it's like 70% of your mark, or like a combination can be different. And one exam, for one exam, I had just a written exam, which was like 100% of my mark. Sometimes you don't have an exam, sometimes you have like several written assignments which you have to do during the semester. And you count like 15% that, 5% this, which is super annoying because you really have to pay attention to what you have to pay attention more. And they also have in like subjects which are taught in English, but they are really protective about their native language, I mean Dutch. And the subjects which are taught in English, they are whether about English literature, for example, or the professor just doesn't speak Dutch. For example, I had one professor from Canada, one from America, one French woman, I guess she didn't speak Dutch either. So, yep.
Can you, so if you fail the exam, can you repass it in 1 or 2 weeks, like in Russia?
No.
Only in a year?
For example, I had exams in February, and you can retake your exams in June or July or August. I don't remember. So you actually have just one try.
Do you need to pay for it? For it?
As far as I know, not. But actually, I didn't go into much detail because, for example, if I don't pass, I just have to sell my lung because I'm an exchange student and I go and I get scholarships. So I just had to do that.
Okay, Lena, if you don't pass the test, do you get expelled, just like in Russia here?
You mean if you don't pass it after like the second?
After the second or whatever, or even the third, if there was third. Do you get expelled from the university?
Good question. I guess you do. But as far as I know, it's easy to wait some time and then try again. Just you have to retake this year, or to be honest, I'm not sure.
Pay attention. There's a difference between retaking a year and get expelled. Getting expelled is that you just leave the university.
Yeah.
But retake the year, you're still studying.
Yeah. I get what you mean, but the thing is, they're not that serious about marks and about being expelled, even because for them that's so normal. That's so easy not to get 10 out of 20.
I'm sorry, I'm confused.
So they're fine with actually failing because they're not intending to excel about everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay.
So what are the most popular like specializations, education directions in Belgium? Like in Russia, it is medicine, probably lawyers as well. But what about Belgium?
No, lawyers is not popular nowadays. Obsolete profession.
Well, I heard
Do you have statistics?
I've heard some memes that says that lawyer gonna get a lot of money after the quarantine because the wife is going to fight with the husband these days. They're house for a very long time.
Maybe. Family lawyers.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, to be honest, I have no idea what are the most popular professions in Belgium, but I can tell about some unusual programs, at least one. So I had a course on gender and intersectionality, which sounds super European looking, open-minded, whatever. So they have a master's program called Gender and Diversity Studies, which is a bit too progressive for Russia at the moment, I guess.
Can you explain the details? What does it mean? gender diverse. Does it mean?
So it's gender studies, feminism, sexuality, queer, LGBTQ plus
Is it the same
stuff,
subject that
race.
says that? Hold on, Lena. Is it the same subject that says genders are not only two, are more than two?
Yeah.
Yeah, all the
Most
stuff.
of
Yeah,
feminism.
exactly.
Do they have practical exercise in this study? I mean,
What do you mean about practical?
Topic number
Like
5.
demonstration or what?
No.
It's actually very interesting, this gender studies thing, I think.
Yes, I think, yeah.
It is. But with this subject in this course, I just thought of one more interesting thing about Belgium. So since the country is very small, and you can cross the whole country in, I don't know, 3 hours max, for them to take 30 minutes ride or by train, that's super long. So when half of my friends, they found out that the class about gender is gonna be in Brussels, not in Ghent, which means 30 minutes ride, they like, no, we're not gonna take that, it's too far away. We have to commute, not just take your bike and bike whatever you wherever you want to, just really take a train. That's so complicated. 30 minutes. I was like, I commuted 1 hour and a half, not even in Moscow, but in fucking Krasnoyarsk, which is not even a capital. They're like, what? So yeah, that's a big cultural difference, I guess. It's like distances and their perception. Yeah.
Could I just bring some more European elements? So, Masha, could you tell us about your experience in the European countries? You said Italy and Austria, right?
Italy, Austria, and Budapest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what was your impression?
Well, they're quite different. I mean, Italy and Austria, and Budapest, of course. For example, Budapest, in suburbs of Budapest reminds me like Soviet Union, because it's look like Soviet Union. But when you go deeper in the center of this town, you see in Europe. And that's quite interesting contrast between suburb and the center of this town. I don't know. And actually, that's all that I can tell you about Budapest, because the day we came to the Budapest, there were Red Bull Air Race competition. So we have to decide, should we go sightseeing or should we saw this wonderful competition between pilots from different countries. And so we decided to watch competition and not go sightseeing. That's why I really want to visit Budapest again in future after lockdown, I hope. Well, and about Italy and Austria, the people different. Austrian people is more like German people. Maybe they are more strict. They are colder. I don't know. They're not so cheerful in some ways. And in Italy, people are sometimes they are too much cheerful, and maybe that's and. I don't know. They try to help you in any ways, but even if you don't need their help. Maybe it's just my face that I'm always looking like I need help. I don't know.
that you are lost, like.
Yeah.
Martha, I got a question for you. I always ask people who have been to Italy this question. Yeah. Is it true that Italian people are emotional and passionate at the same time?
Yeah, they're quite emotional. They how can I say, they express emotions and their movements of their body. Then they speak, they like speaking by the whole body, like not by only their mouth,
The
but
same
you
comment
know this.
people told you.
But this, I don't know, they use a lot of gestures, and yeah, they're really emotional.
Like
So
Spanish people, but people from Austria, like German people, I think they are they are close enough. And
yeah,
when we were in Germany on excursion, we noticed this as well.
yeah, they're too close, and even the languages are similar. Because several years ago, I met a girl from Austria here in Krasnoyarsk, and we then sightseeing through Krasnoyarsk and discussed different things. And I asked her about their Austrian language, and she said a sentence in Austrian language, and then she said the same sentence in German. And I didn't hear the difference between these two languages, but she said, how they are totally different. How can't you see? Can't you hear it?
Probably they just Austrian language is just a dialect of German language. For example,
Maybe.
in Montenegro, they say they have their own language, but the only difference between their language and, for example, Serbian language is just one sound. One sound. That's all.
Oh, really? One
Yeah.
sound?
Like there are, yes, a bit just very, very small difference details. Like Montenegro wants to have its own language.
So that means that we have different Russian in Moscow and different Russia in Vologda.
Yeah.
Yes. Like we have actually three such. No, it is not dialects, but so south, north, and Siberian. So
I've got a question for you.
south, north, and middle.
Okay, which Russian dialects that usually people look down to?
So it's middle. I mean, it's Siberian dialect because it's the closest to Russian literature language.
And people usually look down to it. They don't like it.
I think Musa meant which one is the most not despised, but kind of what's that? Like people look with
be little on it. Like
yeah. Mm-hmm.
They don't respect it. Basically.
There is no discrimination, Musa.
Well, we have in the Arabic, the Arabic countries, we have, this accent and also dialects. The same thing with areas inside even the same country. We are one nation, but still, people who come from that area, they're looked down to. They're not really as good as we are. Do you have the same situation here in Russia?
No, because of the language, no.
But if you're talking about essence of language, I mean in Arabian countries, how you can distinguish between what's the difference between despisable languages or dialects or respectful? What's the difference?
It is about the majority. For example, if you are from let's call it city B and you come to city A, if you don't speak the dialect of city A, people will make fun of you. Okay? So it depends on your surroundings.
It doesn't have to do with simplicity or complexity of dialects, or
no, it's not about this. It's about the community you are in. For example, usually when we receive immigrants or people from Egypt, for example, they speak Arabic just like us. But when we hear their language, actually, honestly, automatically people just disrespect them right away when we hear the Egyptian dialects. I don't know why, but if they have the Saudi dialect, they will be well respected and well treated.
Oh, I have a question actually. Do your dialects they differ more in terms of pronunciation or in terms of, I don't know, vocabulary or some expressions?
Well, honestly, both. But the farther you go, the more words and vocabulary you get. For example, a person who is living in Saudi Arabia and a person who is coming from Morocco, They have are all different vocabulary. Sometimes some situation happen and they don't understand even the word. For example, they describe let it be a door, and they don't know what the door is in his dialect. Why they get some confusions. A friend of mine, his name is I forgot his name. He had a really interesting name. Okay, he had a really interesting name. He's an old friend. Okay, he had an interesting name. Okay. Anyway, okay, he is from Morocco, and he came here to Krasnoyarsk last summer. When we were communicating, we found out that we have a quite big difference in the vocabulary and the dialect. Okay, we became not understanding each other's, so we decided to speak English. Can you imagine?
You decided to replace his
Arabic, but we decided to speak in English. It sounded really funny.
I see. And then, if, for example, you have singers, they write songs in like this like a dialect version of language, or in the like this like official one which is common for all the country, or in English.
There's one dialect, let's call it, type of Arabic. If you have heard of it before, it's called Fusha.
Okay.
Have you heard of it? Anyway,
No.
this dialect exactly, it is the only dialect that gathers everyone around the world. The Arabic ones, the Arabic speakers. It should gather them in one language, in one dialect, but not all of them know it, because it is the ancient language, very old language. It's literature, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So all Arabic should speak this and should understand it. It's only mentioned in the poems, and it's hardly ever used in daily life.
Yeah, I see.
Actually, in Russian we have also like vocabulary differences, but it's not about dialects, it's about regions. For example, in Krasnoyarsk, this file for papers where we can put our papers in is file, but in Irkutsk, for example, it is multifora. So there are some differences as well.
But you understand each other, right?
Sometimes not. If you are, for example, if you are like erudite enough to understand it, or you are a student who has another people from another city, other cities, yes, you may understand, but probably in school personally, I didn't know about multifora.
But it's just one word. But it's just one word. I never faced such a situation when I know that a person is from like different region or different country from mine, and I can't grasp the sense of the sentence. It never
probably
happens.
their thought is correct, but for example, my close friend has a friend from Irkutsk, Irkutsk region, and they argued in the beginning. At the beginning of their friendship, like multifora, no, file, no, in multifora, because so for example, I will put it in multifora, and you're like, what, where, what? I just for the first time you hear this word and you don't understand.
But again, it's just like one word. If we try to come up with more, it's very difficult. I could come up maybe with just one word. When people didn't understand me, it's in Russian, in Siberia, we called classes at the university para or lenta. And in Moscow, no one knows that lenta means the same as para, which is class. So
it's a hypermarket in Moscow.
Am I having hallucinations, or somebody was playing balalaika for like 5 minutes and then I hear a child voice?
It's our sound theme of our meeting, actually.
I appreciate
we need special music on.
Okay, but so could anyone else hear balalaika, or it was only me?
I have heard only children's sounds.
Me too.
Yeah.
So it means that
Let's get to that.
It was ukulele.
Take your room. Take your room.
It was ukulele.
Yeah.
Okay, so ukulele was my hallucination, but the child was not. So I'm only 50% crazy. That's something.
Child and
Congrats.
are real
I think
part of
like
our
ukulele.
reality.
Okay.
They exist.
Right.
I know it for sure.
About the vocabulary difference, I think Lena is quite right about this. It's such a tiny difference because if you take like even English, American and British English, there are like hundreds, if not thousands of words. There are like several German languages. There are several Italian languages, several Spanish languages, and so on and so forth. While Russia, with its immense area coverage, it's just one language from Sakhalin to Kaliningrad, which is just unbelievable, but it is actually true. I was asked by my French colleague, like, how come that you speak the same Russian in the whole country? And I was like, well, I don't know. It's
USSR.
But
it's because of the USSR.
But
unity.
But before
it was before also like the same way. I mean, it's like several centuries. I mean, maybe it's been like that all the time. So, which is, I think, definitely something about our mentality, which is quite surprising.
Yeah, and maybe it's also connected with the fact that in a lot of European countries they have this strong sense of proud for their like small region, for example, for their city, but not for the country. And that's debatable what we have, but we don't have like, oh, Krasnoyarsk, that's like so much better than Tomsk, and like we don't have our, I don't know, own sweets or something like that, like specialties in every region, like in Europe people do. So that's can also be linked to the language things. So
yes, I agree that just we are kind of probably it's also mentality, but we are not proud of what we have. Like we have amazing culture, we have like great territory. Like we have our own language. So, but we are not.
Don't you think that the colonization has some factor on that? You know, since Russia hasn't been colonized by any other countries back then, and didn't get
but the US as well.
Any languages? I'm sorry?
The US as well. Like I remember this phrase when one of my English teachers compared the US and Russian cultures, and that Americans are very proud of their nation, of their country, of their language, but it's not like their language at all.
No, you know, America is excluded out of this. We can't compare it even with Russia because they don't have any history, you know. There haven't been anything such a USA. It's just recent thing, so we can't really compare it. And that's.
But they are proud of themselves, but we are not.
Talking about pride. We're talking about the secret. Why Russian language didn't change or didn't have many divisions in the language itself.
Maybe because of Soviet Union, we had a lot of standards. We were very closed country with barriers, and maybe these barriers prevented diversion, and not only in cultural but in language diversion. But today, you know, look at our architecture. For example, pipe storage, I mean, Khrushchevsky style, and the same standard all around our Russia. And because of that, maybe a lot of standards we have, and maybe these standards we have even in Russian language. And
I agree.
And in comparison with diversity of European people, you know, actually we have a very small rate of diversity. A lot of people stay where they were born and go nowhere. And because of that, there is no interchanging of information, cultural exchange. And the cultural exchange is very small, and because of that, I think our language in a way stable and doesn't differ from one part to another. And maybe another reason, actually, if you consider the population amount of people who live from Ural mountains to the Vladivostok, it's a little bit more than 20 million people, and it's not a big amount in comparison even with Italy or in Spain. Territory, of course, is biggest territory we have, but amount of people is very small. And China, if you consider the China is very huge country, and they have a lot of dialects and a lot of people. I think the main reason is people. More people and more dialects and more interconnections, and we have many dialects and languages on territory.
Or probably this difference, like in Russia, vanishes because a lot of people from our cities, from regional cities, move to Moscow and St. Petersburg, and so this way it happens that in Moscow and St. Petersburg are not so many people who were born actually there, but there are more people who migrated to these cities, and they just help Russia to maintain this level of indifference.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also some Siberian words with time they became kind of like normal for the whole Russia, like Russian what, like Siberian what is cho, and for like in the very beginning it was Siberian Finn, and then now it's like everywhere in Moscow, everywhere in Russia. So
it was born here in Siberia. Didn't know that. I remember first time I started using this word, and my teacher was annoyed because she didn't like me, speaking slang words, and I really liked it. I was just going to those bars that time in the university just to take as many slang of Russian language as possible and come and make my teacher annoyed. She didn't like it at all.
Because it was slang or because it was
it's just pronunciation.
Both.
It's just pronunciation.
Because of the slang first, because it's not it's not a good way to speak this language in the university. The second thing, some words I wasn't aware of, I took like by accident and came and spoke in the university with my teacher, and she was annoyed, and she said, "Don't say this word ever again in the university. This is a disrespectful word." I said, "I'm sorry, I didn't know that." She said,
"What?"
She said, "All the words you hear in the bars with your friends," because I told her that I go to bars, "don't take to the university. Do you understand me?" I said, "Okay."
Sad story.
I don't know why Russian people always try to teach foreigners bad words. Like we have nothing else. It's pretty sad.
It sounds
but
really
some foreigners
funny. It is the same thing. Even for example, even for my mother tongue, it is really sounds funny if I teach someone the bad words. In their tongue, it sounds funny, because they can't pronounce it very well, and at the same time, it's bad word. So I can make fun of them.
So I would be a bad teacher of Russian for foreigners, I think, because they just don't pronounce these words, these bad Russian words at all. So, Musa, sorry.
I really acknowledge that I have a really trouble pronouncing such words in Russian. A lot of words, even simple words, perhaps because I got used to them. I got used to pronouncing them this, mistakenly, and I just sick of correcting myself. Or perhaps I'm not surrounding myself with Russians anymore.
Are you not?
Well, honestly, at the moment, I only speak English. Even I don't speak Arabic at all. I only either speak English with my students or speak English with you. I don't communicate in Russian at all. I remember one time, they came to my room to measure the temperature, and they told me what? he asked me some questions in Russian, and a simple question: where do you study, for example? What is your group's number? Write your name, something in Russian. And I said, okay, how do I spell my name? Is it 1B, Abbas, or 2B in Russian? I forgot the spelling in Russian. So it was confusing for me. You know, if you just give up on practicing the language, it's going to just slip away from your head right away.
I want to have a shift in the topic, if you don't mind. I had a quite interesting lesson today with my group, intermediate group, and so some of you maybe know that we usually watch videos together and discuss them using YouTube as kind of educational instrument now. So there were two videos. One was about a flat style and minimalism, so that was pretty nice to talk about ideal flats, like a topic which I quite love. But the second video was also pretty interesting. It was a conversation between a 7-year-old boy and a man who was 62 years old. And the question was, like, they were discussing like what you think is good about young age, what is good thing about old age, and then the old man asked, no, the boy asked the old man, like, what would you recommend to yourself young? Like, what if you could travel back in time, what would you say to yourself to do in the future? And I think that's quite an interesting question. Like, what do you think you could tell yourself like 20 years earlier? And to give you some time
when I was 1 year old.
No. I think the age when you were conscious enough to make decisions. So I'll begin to give you some time to think. So I wouldn't really maybe tell anything like special, because I'm pretty satisfied with how everything went. But I would say, like, Andy, don't break those robots that you have, like toy robots, because they're going to be incredibly expensive later on eBay. So, and
you broke
I did a lot of I broke a lot of expensive toys. I had a lot of expensive toys and I broke them all.
Were you spoiled when you were young?
I was being spoiled. If I am spoiled, I don't know. If I were spoiled, I don't know. If I was spoiled, I should say.
So you used to get a lot of toys.
Yeah, I was the first child of my generation, my family, so I got a lot of attention from all my relatives, and my family was quite well off at that time, and so I really got a lot of things and presents and nice holidays like New Year, birthday. They went very like with good spirit and mood and humor, and so I got a lot of attention. And yeah, I got wonderful toys like Voltron, this Japanese anime of the 90s, and the only thing that remains is a leg of one of the lions, and there were 5 lions, each had 4 legs, and I have still only 1 leg, and that's pretty heartbreaking, because the price of this Voltron, I checked today and my heart was broken again. The price is like $130, $200 for this.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, and I had several robots. Can you imagine? And there was a beautiful shuttle robot that was transformed into this space shuttle and then back into the robot. Of course, I broke it too. I mean, I don't know how I did it.
What was your problem breaking things?
I'm sorry?
Why were you violent with the robot?
I just played that. I mean, I played with my toys. I guess that was just like too active. I was very active as a child, like I think badly active. Yeah. So I would tell myself, Andy, please be more careful with your toys. Appreciate what you have, because that's something really special. So what would you say, Masha? What would you recommend to yourself, being if you could talk to yourself many years ago?
Yeah, it's it's a good question and quite hard. I don't regret anything about my childhood, but maybe I should talk myself something like don't argue with your parents, agree with them at all, but do everything in your own way.
Oh.
Just agree and do everything in your own way, something like that. Just don't argue. Be patient, maybe.
Did arguments bring you somewhere unpleasant, like a lot of
maybe
disagreeable?
not in early childhood, but when I was a teenager, well, I was kind of maybe I argue with my parents. I argued with my parents like all maybe teenagers do. I wasn't so calm. Now I'm quite calm person, but in my teenagehood, I wasn't. And sometimes there is no sense to argue. It's easier to agree, but do everything in your own way, and that's all.
That's interesting. Agree,
Yeah.
but act the opposite way.
Yeah, the same.
Nice strategy.
Something like this.
Do you employ this strategy nowadays? I mean, being an adult, do you follow this trick?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Really, it works, and I just it works really, and it allows me to be calm, and it allows my parents to be calm about me, and they don't worry about me. And I don't worry about me too. I just know that I do everything right.
Do you extrapolate this to other relationships, like, I mean, not only within family, but outside?
No, I don't think so, because why should I discuss my personal decision with someone outside my family?
Well, I mean, maybe like when
in my
people
family.
advise you something and you say like, okay, sure, and do the opposite way.
Yeah, in this case, yeah. If I don't want to argue, I just don't do it and agree and do my own way.
I sometimes ask for advice. I ask some people for advice because I want to know what this exact person thinks, because I want to do exactly the opposite what this person says, because I know what I don't want. Like, I don't want to be like this person. I don't want to live like this person or to think like this person, and and so I just go and ask around, and I collect opinions, and then I act exactly like I want, because I want what I want not, and that helps me to make a decision. So
yeah, that's tricky thing, but it's cool. I think good idea.
It works, yeah, because
it works.
I always think like what I hate myself, I mean, about my surroundings, and I think, well, probably I don't want to look like those people or act like those people, and so I ask for advice.
From those people.
Yeah. So, who would like to go to this question next? About giving advice to yourself, being a child.
I think Elise is ready.
Real man. So
ladies first.
It was very difficult because, like, I suppose the thought that all that you have done in the past and all that you have done in the past has brought you to the person that you are today. So probably do not take. So it was. I have been thinking for a lot of time, like. Now, probably don't take everything too serious. Probably something too close to your heart. I mean, probably this theme. And otherwise, I probably in the past I didn't so I wasn't too emotional enough. Or like if I take everything to okay, so this will pass. So for example, now I can. So if I'm furious, I wait for some time and then I answer this person. Or so as I study like in a group of journalists. I know how it is cool to not to react to the provocations or just always keep calm, even if some people, while arguing, start to use the strategy. So they point on your personality, not on your work, on your mistakes in your work, but on your personality. And you just like do whatever you want, but it doesn't care. So it doesn't matter for me.
Mm-hmm. So you would advise yourself just to be yourself and not to pay attention to anything coming from outside?
To pay attention, yes, to emotions.
Uh-huh.
Probably.
I see.
But this is how, like, if I hadn't been such girl in the past, I wouldn't have been such girl today. Like everything, so every emotion that I have worked with, I don't know how to. So yes, everything that I have done in the past, everything I did in the past. So I should be grateful for the personality I am today because of myself in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So this way.
Okay, thank you. Musa, are you ready to answer?
Okay, I'm ready.
Uh-huh.
Well, okay, this thing that I'm going to warn myself in the past and also in the future at the same time, because this thing is continuously happening. Even I believe in the future, not only happened in the past. It is anger. I'm having troubles, and I had troubles even in the past. Controlling my anger, and it didn't only affect my relationships, or with my relatives or with any people, but with things that I have, material things that I buy. Okay, let it be devices or objects, any objects that I buy. When I face difficulties, turning it on, if it's electronic device, or when I face difficulties using it, I just become furious, break it, lose my money, buy a new one. So it doesn't have a good way at all. It only have one way. It's just wasting money. So I can remember and recall a lot of things that I have been breaking lately since I'm, locked down here. Last thing that I broke was my socket. I was pulling it at night. I was trying to get my charger.
Okay.
And I was pulling it at night, and I didn't see anything. And I was like, why isn't it being pulled? And then I just, with all my strength, pulled it out, and I cut it out of its place.
Good
So
job.
Yeah. Okay. And I said, okay, now no charger, no nothing. Go back to sleep. Next day, I went to buy a new one. That's the thing. It's keeping destroying all the things that I have, especially the valuable things that cost a lot of money. There's electronic devices, and I had some situation even with this laptop that I'm using now, but. Let me be honest that I was more rational. Okay, I said no. Okay, you can't really collect money. You can't buy a new one tomorrow. You don't have that amount of money. But if I had, I would have.
Oh, can I just chime in here? So I had the same issue in past. I was really emotional. I think I've broken like not less than 2 phones and 1 laptop. I mean, laptop was being broken steadily, like kind of in several months, like taking damage gradually. So yeah, but I mean, now I'm good. I mean, now my laptop is 3 years old and my phone is 3 years old, which is just kind of a record for me. And they're still like alive and kicking, and I'm so proud of myself because I haven't managed yet to launch this kind of tantrum. But like I had this Lenovo phone which I bought, and it freaked me out so much that I promised that demon that like, hey guy, when I buy a new phone, because I will, I'll smash you with a hammer. And I did. So I
Exactly. This is what I said to myself. Threatening your own phone.
so I bought a new phone and I really took a hammer and
Oh, really?
yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
no way.
I just destroyed my old Lenovo. I mean, it was cheap. It was just like some little money, but I mean, I was so satisfied. I mean, that was really, really, it was really an abomination. I mean, it was really kind of taking my life essence. It was just draining my power, my energy, my benevolence from this world, and then just channel it somewhere to Inferno itself. And I don't know, submitting to the Satan, but and it also was like it had this red panel behind, and I think that was like the color of hell, and that was my story with that phone. But I mean that's my kind of old story already.
You
Have
are-
you,
And, I've got a question for you, Andy. Did
Oh.
you get the hang of it, controlling your anger?
Sorry.
Did you master it yet?
Yeah, because
know,
I mean it was
rage
yeah,
in
sure. It's this actually it I think it was connected to my just overall emotional condition, this kind of being depressed and not self-accomplished and like kind of like what's that, like fluctuating and volatile psychology, which is just rushing around. So what is, what depression is, suppressed anger. So when you, I mean, it's pretty simplification, but still, it's suppressed anger and this clog of emotion. So, and that means that if you are angry and I used to have some self-harm practices when I was younger, and well, not so much younger actually, not too late, not too long ago. So I think for me it was just very acceptable to harm myself or objects around than people if I was angry, if I was depressed. So I think it's kind of connected to that, like that you accept breaking things, but you don't accept actually hurting other people. Like if you're disappointed with someone, you won't respond like fighting, engage in an argument, but you will instead kind of go to your hideout and launch your tantrum there. Yeah, like you will extract what you have, but using other things and methods. So I think for me it was this thing that I was just emotionally unstable in all the possible ways. And as I dealt with that, like year after year, I think it just faded. So, or I just learned how to master myself, because I mean I know I'm still emotional. I still feel this kind of rising power sometimes, but I also am stronger to suppress it, to get hold of it. Yeah. There were some other questions. Vadim, I think, and Masha, you said something, or did I miss?
yeah.
Uh-huh.
It sounds very, what you're saying now, it sounds very like, complex approach to your emotions and so on. I think I would just buy a punching bag, maybe something like this. Maybe it will help too.
I was thinking about breaking glass because, I mean, punching bag is not enough, because a bag, like, I mean, this pillow is soft, so it doesn't break. And you need to break something. That's the point. Like you need to see something shattering. You need to see something collapsing, because that's the amount of emotions that you're experiencing is much bigger than just a soft cushion. And
what about these Spain toys with a lot of sweets inside? Maybe.
what is that called?
I forgot how it is called. Peanut.
Yeah.
Something like this.
Pinata, I think it is. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
nobody made the pinata for myself, and well, for me, I mean, and well, making a pinata for yourself just to launch your anger at it. I mean, it's well, I mean, I think it's also about emotional maturity, like how well
Yeah, of course.
you deal with yourself. Like, do you know how you actually operate as a human being? What makes you destabilized and what stabilizes you, and like how can you
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
put
it's a
yourself?
long path. Yeah.
Like my professor, so she told us a story that when she was a child, her mom bought her like a lot of plates, and when our professor, so our little professor, came home and was angry, she just took this plate and crashed it, and this helped her a lot to not to be angry. And as for me, when I was a teenager, probably 12 years old or 11 years old, when I was angry, I tried to crash pencils, but I couldn't. I just watched that people were angry and crashed pencils, but I couldn't. I was like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it.
I love my pencils.
I know it. I left everything around me. That's why I cannot destroy everything like Musa. Because it's just
Speaking of the crash, speaking of breaking blades, I don't know if you have this here in Russia, but I used to see in the street like a truck in the street. It's full of blades, and you come there, you buy a blade. A blade costs around 100 ruble. Around 100 ruble, and you buy as many plates as you like, and you just throw them inside this truck. It's like a food truck, but it's a truck, transparent truck, and you break the blades just to unleash the negative power or energy you have. Do you have it here in Russia?
I think no.
No.
people crash the walls.
Good idea for business.
Or bottles.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's really like about this anger management that we. It's like you have to become aware of why it happens and what you have to do with this, and that's pretty complex thing. And it's also like it's really. I mean, to me, it was a question of the fact that I just couldn't harm like other people. I think for some people it's pretty natural to kind of, if I'm disappointed, everyone else is going to be disappointed also, just to make me a company. At least I know such individuals. Well,
We're not alone in this. You should be with me.
yeah, sure, man.
We're together.
Like toxic people, yes.
But
Like
I'm
there are like two types of people. So according to the author of one book, I don't remember, but on YouTube you can find a lot, like plenty of short, of brief in the books. So, and he said like two people, active and proactive. So active people blame others and spoil moods of others, but proactive people, they just understand that everything depends on them.
I want to just add one thing about this anger, unleashing this anger. So what was troubling me about this kind of breaking stuff or just being too emotional, I mean, any kind of going above the acceptable level, even being alone, it actually made me feel worse. I don't know, Musa, if you have this, but I mean, it never actually helps. I mean, when you actually go into a tantrum, it is not helpful at all. And that was what made me think about it a lot, like how to actually come to peaceful settlement of myself. Because after such a tantrum, after such an anger strike, I just felt exhausted emotionally. I felt shame. I felt kind of self-disgust, and like I thought I was a malfunctioning organism, and so on and so forth. So that was definitely not the way. And I don't know if you have this, like that such outbursts, they're not helpful at all, unfortunately. So they
Well,
actually
I usually get regret after
Yeah.
the wave of rage. I only get regret. I regret that I broke something or I acted this way because it seems to be childish, you know. you're adult and you're not supposed to break things when you get angry. They don't have even. So who are you hurting? You're not hurting anyone. You're hurting yourself financially. That's it.
So I just thought that it should be productive. So like, I mean, to think about it reasonably, I mean, do I have a reason to be angry about my phone? Well, technically yes, because it is like too slow or my laptop is too slow. So what I should do instead is like, well, then work harder and buy yourself a better phone or better laptop. Like, make it affordable, and then if you have a good machine, then you will not have these things. And if you have so much energy, then find yourself a life where you will use this energy, because energy is not plus or minus, it's energy. It's always a flow. It's a channel of several, I mean, we can interpret it many ways, like esoteric interpretation, religious, physical, and so on. But energy is just a flow. And if you give it a plus or a minus symbol, that's upon you, right? That's you can give it a plus and become a creative thing, or you can give it a minus and become a destructive thing. And that's about organizing your life properly. That you, if you see that it is creating troubles, then you just kind of rearrange, which is usually very complex, difficult, and sometimes self-destructive process, because you really have to kind of demolish yourself to the 0 point and then build yourself again, but in a new shape. I think that's what happened with me. Like, I had to really reorganize many things, kind of burn myself to ashes and then try to revive myself again, if it makes sense.
I think that do you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
man.
But I can actually something wrong happened, and then I don't see the sign that I'm speaking, except my mouth and lips are moving, but I feel it. But teacher,
that's do tell. Really.
And actually, I want to add about aggression toward things. I think it's a representation of a feeling of helplessness, because when you, it's my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, but when you started to break some things, for example, your slow laptop, I suspect that you felt helplessness, but you couldn't do something about it. Instead of it, you decided to break it.
Mm-hmm.
And the way to cope with this feeling, to find another, not a channel for your aggression, just go to the start to the origin and defeat the helplessness. Just find the main problem which causes this helplessness and defeat it. For example, if we're talking about a laptop, solve this problem, buy a new laptop, or ask some advice about what's happening from your laptop. It's a simple way to solve this problem. Aggression is always it's helplessness.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, a lot of people, I don't mean you, and I mean the aggression itself. It's a kind of, it's not on a lot of people who are aggressive are very, they feel at the same time fear. And fear is a sign of unbalance inside these people. And they can't control because they can't find a solution, the right solution, reasonable solution of their problems.
Mm-hmm.
And because they choose the easy way to break something, to harm somebody, and they subconsciously they think that it's a right way. They can't imagine another path or channel to solve this problem. But this channel exists, and I think we need to, when we feel aggressive, always ask ourselves, what's the reason of it? What caused me be so aggressive, so freak out at this particular moment? And be aware that you are aggressive right now. the first step to be aware, and then find the reason.
So,
and you when you start to find the reason, you start to be more reasonable. It's tautology, but it's true. You start to find solution, and your aggressive options will disappear.
Yeah, as I always say, I mean, I agree that it is about, like, you have to look deeper, and that's what happened, like, in my case, that I always say that I woke up as a person at, like, age of 26, I think. Before that, I was just a vegetable, and, like, answering this question that was today in the video, like, what is better, like, what is good about childhood or old age, I would say there is nothing good about childhood, it's terrible. I mean, as a concept, like, not being an adult is terrible to me. And because I didn't realize so many things, which I realized so late, and with this realization came finally some change. Before that, I was just unable to change anything, to look deeper, to think carefully, to think, I guess. So, yeah, I agree. Look into the root of the problem. And Vadim, what is this thing that you would recommend, what you advise yourself many years ago?
Well, I would tell my younger myself, Andy had a lot of robots. Find Andy and make friends with him, and have robots too. But speaking seriously, actually, I consider two options. To advise myself. But actually, people tend to step on the same rake again and again. And I don't think that my advice, my younger myself, does make any help, because I was stupid and stubborn. Maybe another way will help. If I say to my younger myself my biography, what I did, what my mishaps, my achievement, and let me, younger me, junior, let's call me junior, me, make sense of it and choose whether he wants to be myself, I mean, older myself, repeat my steps in the life, or take a different actions and find a new way of life. I think that I am convinced that there only one thing will help: show examples. Words are nothing. But if you show some examples, how do you behave, what do you do in special situation, it have a much more stronger effect on the younger children or even on myself. And showing my biography will help me to avoid some mistakes and to make my own decision in future. That's all, I think. No advice, no morals, just only facts.
What about you, Lena?
An excellent thought.
Yeah.
Well, I would say just maybe one more general thing, and I don't think that I'm much wiser now than I was, 3 years ago, because I'm still too emotional. So I can't relate to what Alessia said, at least like partially, because she overcame this problem, me not. But I would say pay attention to red flags in any kind of relationship, and I don't know. By that, try to avoid some toxic people, maybe. And also one thing which is not super obvious, we are taught that actions or deeds speak louder than words, but I guess that's not always true. And yeah, maybe that's the second thing which I would tell my younger self. Yep.
Do you mean that marketing is also necessary if you do something right?
Yeah.
So could you specify this last point, like if you have an example at hand, like what could...
Well, so we're told that if person says something like that, I don't know, forgive me, or I don't know, believe me, I like you, whatever the phrase is, we should look at the actions, because words, that's bullshit. You can say whatever you want, but if the person does something, that means that it's true. But according to my experience, that doesn't work this way. So a person can do something which you would normally interpret like, I don't know, friendship or whatever, like being sorry, for example. But if the person doesn't tell you, like, we're friends, I'm sorry, something like that, maybe this actions is just the way to fool yourself or to fool you. If that makes sense.
I think it does, to me.
So yeah, my point is, look at both actions and words, and red flags as well.
Like I'm going to make an example which is going to be very primitive, but still. So like if there is a rich man and he has a let's say family, and this rich man is very bad tempered and always like uses his family as this beanbag, like to not to beat them, but just criticize and release his toxicity on them, and then compensates this with money or presents and says like, this is my love, so I love you because look at my actions, don't look at my words. This is not exactly it, because, well, if you loved them, then you would probably spread less toxicity, because verbal communication sometimes matters even more than actions, because like your family members are independent enough to like buy presents and earn money themselves, but they would appreciate more friendliness and kindness from you, which you are unable to give. Is it this case that you're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe another example, there are like two friends, or one person think that this person is his or her friend because, I don't know, they hang out together, they, I don't know, go to bars, clubs, whatever, but they never really discuss that, like, oh yeah, we're friends, you know? We treat each other like friends, but at the long run, it turns out that the person who acted like a friend but never told the other one that he is her or his friend, they just used each other in a way. So yeah,
I say it every time. I think I'm reading this Professor Peterson now, very fascinated with his books and his lectures on YouTube. So his latest point that I remember was that people organize the universe by verbalization, by articulation. So what you can verbalize, you can systemize. So if you can't explain something in words, then it is still chaos. It is still chaos, and so it is menacing. It is threatening. It is entropy. I mean, it's going to make your life complex and difficult. If you can verbalize it, then it becomes the order, and so your life becomes systemized. And that means that if you cannot, I mean, I always have this trouble, like if I cannot explain something, I have this hunch, I have this intuition about something, like I can intuit my life, but then I have to explain my choice to my friends or my family, and I cannot, and I feel so unhappy about it, because I feel I'm right, but at the same time I'm not, because I cannot articulate that properly. So it is still random, and that's bad. I want to be able to explain that.
Yeah, that's a great idea, actually. Yeah, and it's kind of closed. Yeah.
maybe that's why we cherish so much literature, because literature is actually this kind of transition from chaos to order, slowly building up this cultural understanding in a system of words which can be comprehensible.
Yeah.
So anyone has any idea?
Can you hear me?
Musa, yes? What's that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
and also
I was facing trouble with the connection.
Ukulele.
Yeah.
Really again, yeah.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Not from you,
Okay,
Musa. Not from you.
Great. Yeah, I'm clean. Look, I was trying to say that I really have to go now because I've got a lesson in just 19 minutes, and I just have to take a look on the lesson.
Yep. So we will be finishing anyway, I think, like sometime soon, because it's almost 2 hours, and
Yep.
I was planning actually to ask for feedback. So Musa, maybe you could.
It was really talk to you.
Wow, that's quick, very big
Can
lag.
you
Barely.
hear me?
I think if you turn off your camera, that will be better.
I think I'm having trouble with the internet.
Yeah.
We are losing him.
Call the ambulance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's try, Musa. Can you hear us?
Morgan. Okay.
Well, anyway, that's a nice photo.
Who is it?
Yeah, some other guy, obviously.
Okay, yeah.
So Musa, if you can hear me now, I want to thank you for participation. If you can stay for just a couple of minutes longer, and maybe your connection will return. Oh, it has.
Oh.
Yeah.
But the question is if the sound is with us. Like no sound. Yeah, no sound.
I think he's swearing
So
in Russian.
was it like that or like that? Like the meeting was like that or like that?
It's unclear.
Okay.
I appreciate, man. I appreciate. Have a nice lesson. Yeah, and bye. Till next time.
Bye.
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 So, who would like to give feedback next about our conversation, about the meeting?
That's very good that we haven't discussed this the situation, international things, international education, like and language stuff. It's not just interesting. It's like fascinating and charming. I think like every language has its own charm, and we have known some things about Arabic language. Now we know a lot of things about Belgium. Mm-hmm. We have covered a lot of topics today, like politics and so on, and it was really nice, interesting. I think today's meeting was very special and like. How to say, it was perfect. I think a lot of things that we can discuss in usual life, not just in lockdown, but as we meet in Spassky.
Yeah. Thank you, Alyssa. I appreciate, and as always, thanks for your contribution, for your active participation. Well, let's go to the next person. I'm going to use my alignment. So, Lena, you are the next.
Okay. So, the first thing, it's really good to be back. Yeah. Although in this digital format, and all times, blah blah blah. And so I agree that our sorry.
Kamenka vibe.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's also was so deep, our topics, and by your own experience that it doesn't happen super often. Sometimes it's very superficial stuff. So that was really cool. And I actually wanted to ask two questions. Why is this platform? And second, why do you record? Like, I get why do you record the meeting, but in your experience, do people like watch it afterwards to hear themselves speaking, or like, yeah, what is the point, kind of?
Because I want to become famous and popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
That's the most honest answer I can give. Everything else will be like kind of next. Like.
Yeah, sure.
But well, okay. So first of all, I want to develop my channel, going online, going kind of international, and being reachable by many people, by all countries. So not to be connected. What's that? Connected to Krasnoyarsk only. Because if I go anywhere again, and I will, if I go, that means that the club is lost again. But I don't want it to happen, and I want to have this platform to be able to speak to people. And recording, because some people can't attend and they watch, I know. And
wow, cool.
About the platform. So, well, you mean Hangouts? Why Hangouts?
Yeah.
So there is Zoom, there is Skype, and there is this Discord, and there are other options. So why not Zoom? And why not Skype, and why not Discord? Because you need to install them. You need to install programs. And that means that I cannot connect sometimes people who really should be connected fast and in a very simple manner. Like, and in Africa, they have their phone. And so, like, Zoom, I'm not sure how it operates on the phone. I know Skype is just becoming mad on devices. And Discord is a very local thing for the gaming industry. So like Vadim now is connected by two accounts at the same time, which allows him to speak and broadcast his video. I don't think if it is possible with Zoom or with Skype. So it's not maybe the best solution, but it is temporary, maybe, while we are getting experience. I mean, that's only the fourth episode. Who knows what will be in the future. That's just kind of, as Castaneda calls it, it is controlled stupidity of mine. I'm just being stupid and making mistakes in a controlled manner so that I can come up with something better later. So.
Yeah. One more question. So,
sure.
If I want to invite someone kind of who never been to the club or
please do.
Friend of
Please
mine,
do. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, that's the idea. Actually, I want to make it kind of our club at Spassky, to make it flexible. Like, people come, people go. Like, the limit will be 6 people, but as soon as the first person disconnects, another comes, and so on and so forth. So for 2 hours, 30 minutes, we should have this constant conversation. Yeah. And by the way, Lena, I checked the message that you sent me about the fact that you are in Krasnoyarsk. So you said, I'm home. And I thought like you're home in Moscow, not going anywhere. And that's why I thought you didn't actually come back. So,
my bad.
Sorry.
My bad.
No,
okay,
it's my interpretation. I should have understood. So anyway, I'm happy you are safe home. And thank you for the feedback. Yeah.
Thank you.
Masha, what could you say?
Yeah. Well, it was my first time in such in your English club, and I really like it. And I'm fond of people's stories, and I always like to discuss something interesting topics and to share opinions and so on. And I really like the format. It's really convenient for me, the online format, because all you need is just a good internet connection and a laptop or phone and so on. So I like, and thank you guys for your stories and for your opinion, and thank you, Lena, for the story about Belgium. I really like, and it was really interesting, and I knew a lot now. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And just by the way, there was a comment right now on the chat, like a person says, I'll watch full version later. Thank you for your talk. So at least one person will watch.
Okay. I'm surprised, to be honest. I don't know. So, I'm not sure that I would really watch full 2 hours. I'm able to comment like online. But it's just me.
You can not just watch, you can only listen and use it like a podcast.
Yeah.
It's always
smart,
a
that's
good
smart.
idea to turn on the video on YouTube and do all your things at home and listen to like podcast. I
Yeah,
always
that's a
do
great
this,
idea.
actually.
That's super smart, really. Yeah.
So I put all my videos on my YouTube channel, which I think I haven't published yet. I should, because there are like already some games that I played broadcasting, and all our episodes are going to be there too. So I need to advertise it because I think I forgot. Yeah, I forgot. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, and Vadim, what do you have to say?
You know, I have been here 3 times before, and
that's the fourth.
Yeah, and I gave some feedback. Today, what's different? I think we're talking about Kamenka vibe, and I think the thing which is make it, I mean, by it I mean our meeting today better and more organized, that you bring some topic to discuss or some question to discuss, maybe even task to do. And I think a combination of informal speaking and as a central part of our online meeting, some one task to think, to discuss, to do something. It brings some Kamenka vibes, and it's very very good and more effective and more interesting for me.
Mm-hmm.
In this way, I appreciate it, and I like to discuss, to think. It's very important, even more important than just to speak, to have a chit chat and nothing more.
Are you saying, just for me to understand, are you saying that with a topic or with topics that I bring as a kind of like imposing on the conversation, actually, that's better?
I mean, you bring some task, for example, some question, and to think about. I mean, by question, the situation when we talk to our younger ourselves. And it resembles somehow, in a way, our Kamenka meetings. We have some tasks to do, unfortunately. But I think the combination of task make it more interesting. Combination task and informal conversation, just like a core of meeting.
Okay. What about the others? Do you think that presence of a question or a task should improve the meeting? What's your opinion?
When it is silence, yes, it matters. But as practice shows, we can just discuss not only the topic, but the things that have run out of this topic. For example, so I don't think that anger was on the topic, but we discussed ways to kill or to kill this anger.
Masha, I'm quite curious about what you think. So, free going conversation, or this and plus some tasks and questions that people are challenged to answer. What do you think?
I think, Indy, we can experiment with the format and try both variants, and free conversation and maybe tasks, and looks how it will go in, because task, but by the way, today you started with the topic. Yes, we started with the inner thing, and when how it turns out that we discussed all in languages and anger and so on and so forth. So maybe combination is a good idea.
Okay. And by the way, there was a comment on the chat that Masha was right, like a podcast. So that's exactly the idea of watching the videos. And Lena, what do you think about this task-free conversation combination?
I guess that it also depends on like what people gather and what if they have something to share. I mean, like some big story, because like today, for example, like I told you about Belgium, so that filled some time, obviously. And also the second thing about the task or the question. Task, I don't exactly understand what Vadim means by task.
I have the same question. Yeah, what do you mean about when you're talking about tasks?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
You task to think about something. I mean, if you remember our community meetings, we always had the tasks. For example, do something, create something, create character, create environment, create imagine something, and
concept work.
It's different from our Spassky's meetings, because in Spassky we have meetings in style of cafe. We are gathered together and discuss everything. It's a kind of flow, and it's a conversation without any borders, without any tasks. You can bring up task, but usually it was as a conversation, just chit talk, chat. But in our format here, I think it's a for me today I felt that it's a good idea to combine two things. Informal conversation about casual or random topics, and something creative, maybe creative, some tasks, maybe question which will be raised and discussed.
Okay, I got the point. I think it's actually possible, as we have a limited amount of people here, unlike in Spassky where we have like 45. Here we have just 5 or 6, so it's controllable, and I will think about it. So, guys, I really am grateful for your participation. Thank you very much. Thank you, Alessa, Lena, Masha, and Vadim. Thank you, Manya, and thank you, Musa, those who have left already. And so that was episode 4. It will be published just a little bit later on YouTube, and the next meeting shall be Freudian mistake. So I don't know when actually, but definitely the next stream is going to be on Monday. I'm not sure if it is going to be a talking stream or a playing stream, a gaming stream. So I'll announce it on Telegram and on VK as always. Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend and see you guys. I am stopping the recording.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
How to exit this pin?